has taken major steps to protect their rainforests and have achieved real results. And it is the sovereign right of the tropical forest countries to protect their forests, and it's in their interest. But the world also needs you to commit to making rapid reductions in emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. But however, this task should not just be yours to tackle alone. Companies must reduce the pressure on forests by producing and buying sustainable commodities. Banks and investors must reduce deforestation risks in their portfolios, and the international community must step up its support. Germany, the UK, and Norway will deliver on our joint Paris pledge to contribute $5 billion by 2020 forest protection. But this is not even close to what is needed. We need to mobilize billions of dollars every year to be able to provide predictable payments for reduced deforestation. These payments must benefit local communities and ensure the rights of indigenous people. This is the framework that was agreed on under the Paris Agreement. However, long-term financial commitments and ambitious forest goals are lacking. So let's spend this next year to work tirelessly to make these things a reality. Let's appoint special envoys who have our full backing so that when we meet again on the Biodiversity Conference in Kunming, we can move from words to action. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. May I now invite the representative of the Holy See, His Eminence the Secretary of State, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, who will have the honor to deliver his remarks on behalf of Pope Francis.
Honorable Presidents, Prime Ministers, and Chancellors, dear ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to participate in this high-level meeting. We all recognize how important forests are for the whole world, and indeed for the very future of humanity. They are the world's most reliable renewable resource and are essential for integral human development. But unfortunately, their irreplaceable importance is often taken for granted and underestimated, which is why education is crucial, so that people will regard them not merely as resources to be harnessed, but also as a sanctuary to be cultivated and constantly replenished. Great human suffering arises from the wanton destruction of forests. The impact falls mainly on those who depend on forests for their home, livelihood, cultural heritage, and social structures. Therefore, decisions to improve the management of our forests must be undertaken with the full and meaningful participation of those whose rights, values, and lives will be most impacted. In 2 weeks, on October 6th, Pope Francis will gather in the Vatican a synod of bishops from all over the world for the Amazonian region, which will be focused principally on the ecclesial and pastoral challenges of the area, with particular attention given to indigenous peoples living there and the human, ecological, social, and economic issues that are impacting the region and indeed humanity. Several other important ecosystems and vast biomes also face serious threats, such as the Congo Basin, the rainforest in Southeast Asia, as well as national forest and vegetation covers. Early this month, I was with Pope Francis in Madagascar, which has lost 21% of its total forest since 2001. In a meeting with national leaders, civil society representatives, and the diplomatic corps accredited in Antananarivo, he spoke passionately about how protecting our forests must comprise part of integral development and care for our common home. And I quote only a few lines. There can be no true ecological approach or effective efforts to safeguard the environment stated the Pope, without the attainment of a social justice capable of respecting the right to the common destination of Earth's goods, not only of present generation, but also of those yet to come. The crisis of the rapid destruction of our forests, especially our rainforest, is not just environmental, but also social, and above all, ethical. Strategies to address it without delay demand an integrated, multi-layered approach that combats poverty and restores dignity to the excluded, at the same time as it protects these precious, indispensable, and endangered gifts. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Cardinal Parolin. I equally want to acknowledge the presence of Vice President of the Republic of Suriname, Michael Adin. And now, for our speaker, the next speaker, is my pleasure to give the floor to the founder and the CEO of Bloomberg LP and Bloomberg Philanthropies, Mr. Michael Bloomberg. Bienvenido, alcalde.
Luis, thank you very much. And I just wanted to say what you do with the IADB really makes a difference, so you should be very proud of what you've done. And also, Presidents Macron and President Panera and President Duque, thank you for bringing us all together and for putting deforestation and protecting the world's rainforest at the forefront of the climate fight. I'll be brief because the problem is simple. We understand it. We just also know that we don't have the courage to do anything about it. And so what we've got to do is stop talking and start acting. We are in a race against time, and right now, unfortunately, we are losing that race. At Bloomberg, we like to say that in God we trust, everyone else bring data. And the data on this is very clear. 18 of the 19 warmest years on record have all come since the year 2000. Think about that. 18 out of 19 since 2000. Greenland and Antarctica's glaciers are melting at a record rate. You can actually see the water pouring out. And storms, such as we just had in Houston, Texas, where they got 4 feet of rain in a day, and wildfires like we see near Singapore, which is covered with smoke these days, are growing more extreme and more destructive. The recent wildfires in the Amazon are the latest and most dramatic and disturbing examples of the destruction that climate change can bring. And as others have noted, the Earth's rainforests are the human race's lungs. They keep our air clean and all of us healthy. So the fight against climate change is as much a public health issue as it is an environmental one. It's about ensuring our kids are safe and healthy and have clean air to breathe. The Amazon wildfires are an international emergency, but we can't lose sight of the fact that deforestation in general has been putting people's health at risk for years. Together, forest fires and deforestation have long been a major cause of air pollution and forced too many people around the world to breathe unsafe air. To stop them, we need the public, private, and philanthropic sectors to work together, and hopefully this group will be the beginning of that coalition. Here in the United States, we've seen that it really is possible to create that kind of coalition. When the Trump administration announced its intention to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, Governor Jerry Brown from California and I organized thousands of cities, businesses, and states that are committed to upholding our country's obligations under the Paris Agreement. We call the group America's Pledge, and together we've been able to keep the U.S. on track to meet our goals. And we announced this with President Macron on the steps of the palace in Paris. Thank you very much for your hospitality. The fact is, cities, states, and businesses all understand that it's in their own interest to act. Number one, it is in their interest to act because clean energy is cheaper for consumers. Number two, it is in their interest to act because it's a growth industry that is creating hundreds of thousands of new jobs. And number three, it is in their interest to act because it's not just people that are vulnerable to climate change. It's infrastructure and assets and supply chains. So the cost of ignoring climate change is incredibly high in every way. An important part of attacking climate change is supporting countries that are home to our most important natural resources, like the Amazon, by creating an economic environment that allows them to thrive and by coordinating an immediate and effective response to the crisis at hand. I hope today is the beginning of doing both of those things. Future generations are counting on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael Bloomberg. And I think this pretty much concludes our session. I will leave the last word to President Macron.
Merci beaucoup, Président. Merci à tous. Thank you very much for your commitment and your presence here. I think everything was said. Now it's time to act. And I think we have a next meeting now in Santiago, in Chile. I think we have to be inclusive. We have to be efficient. We have now to follow up the criteria we decided all together. But you said it very fairly. Our young people, our people everywhere, and what we discussed today requires now efficiency and commitment. So thanks very much for your presence. Thanks for different presidents for being here. And let's act, let's work. Thank you.
Bonjour. Prendre une photo?
Pardon. Oui, oui. Sorry.
Non, il est pas sorti. Il est encore là. Il y a un mur, c'est complètement en fait. Ah bon? Ah non, non, il est pas.
Sta acá, ministro. Gracias. Voy a... Acércame, escapo.
Señor.
¿Cómo vas?
Bien, ¿tú?
¿Te ha ido?
Bien, bien.
Carolina, voy a tener el morral a ver si puedo tener con ustedes.
Ah, good to see you. Oh, Vice President, how are you? Nice to see you.
I know you were just a chair. Yeah, but I have to tell you, because I know you were supposed to.